I didn't know that Texas gets wildfires, but Dallas is burning. The Mavericks organization is in shambles. Luka Doncic has left the building. Luka Doncic has left the building. I'm sure everyone has heard the news and been following the story about the craziest trade in NBA history, most surprising deal to ever be made. Luka Doncic got traded for Anthony Davis. Who would have thought? Not me. Never in a million years I think a 25-year-old perennial all-star, all-NBA superstar would get traded in the middle of his prime. And not just traded, he got sent off in the middle of the night with no auction, no fielding offers, got traded straight up without anyone talking to him. But this is now the reality for the Dallas Mavericks fans. Luka Doncic is gone. You now have Anthony Davis, who is an amazing player. But if we're talking about the trade, I'll break it down to you like this. The Lakers win the long term, but the Mavericks do win the short term because Luka Doncic has been injured this season. They probably weren't going to make a run at the finals this season. Anthony Davis is having a great season, one of the best of his career. All defensive player, possibly defensive player of the year, been putting up crazy numbers. And you already have Kyrie Irving, Klay Thompson, PJ Washington, Derek Lively, Gafford, the whole crew. You have a full loaded team, along with also picking up Christie and a pick. So the Dallas Mavericks this season, and I would say for the next 2 seasons, so 3 seasons in total, are in a prime position to compete. The general manager who made this trade, Nico Harrison of the Dallas Mavericks, says that defense wins championships, and they made this move to solidify their defense. Let's not forget, you do have Anthony Davis. And Anthony Davis, as much as I love him, has been injury prone. And the past 2 seasons, he's been healthy, which is amazing. And no one wants injuries to happen, but they do happen. How much longer do you think AD is going to be able to stay healthy as he gets older into his 30s? He's 31 years old right now. And players generally do not get healthier as they get older. So you have traded away your future in hopes that this 3-year window, in my opinion, will lead to a championship. And if it does not lead to a championship, Nico Harrison will be fired and banned from the city of Dallas for the rest of his life. Why would someone make this trade if they're in Nico Harrison's position? Well, the narrative and what they put out is that they feel like Luka Doncic is a defensive liability, but more importantly, he is not taking care of his body, and he's gained a lot of weight during his injured time, and over his career, he's not taking care of his body. He comes in out of shape a lot of times. He labors through games, can't play defense because he's not in shape to play defense. And they feel like basically Luka Doncic is a Zion. He's someone that will continue to have problems staying in shape, whether that's because of eating, lack of training, discipline, whatever the case may be, and continue to rack up these injuries and not really be available. And honestly, that is something as a GM you do have to fear, because if you have Luka Doncic, a lot of people are going to forget the details and the context. Fast forward a few years later, and Luka Doncic is in his 30s, and you've never won a championship with him. They're going to say, you're the reason why. You cannot build a team around him. Whether that's true or not, people won't really care. They're just going to know you got a superstar player that has not won a championship, and you have not put the pieces around him to do so, even if it might be because of his own inabilities on defense and his lack of availability. Now, if Luka does turn out to be a Zion type of player where he will never get in the proper shape that he needs to be and continue to rack up these nagging injuries and not be available, then the Dallas Mavericks are outsmarting the league because they're cashing in what they have now to get a championship, assuming it leads to a championship. Also, along with that, Luka Doncic was going to be eligible for a supermax and getting paid about $70 million a year if he was to sign that deal and if he stayed with the Dallas Mavericks. That's a lot of money. And if people pay attention to today's NBA, it has gotten very similar to the NFL in terms of salary cap wise. You have to be very judicial in the resource that you allocate on your roster. Just like how I feel that you shouldn't pay every quarterback top dollar because you're not maximizing the value of the salary that you're allotted, you should not pay every star top dollar. If you have to pay this one player all this percentage of your salary cap. That means you got to be perfect everywhere else. And as a GM, why do you want to put yourself under that pressure? Because all the onus is going to be on you because you have the superstar player that people feel like you should win with no matter what. And then you're going to have less resources to build that team. And the salary cap has changed in a way that the longer you're over the salary cap, the more luxury tax you pay, the harder it is to build the roster. You got to get rid of guys. You can't really build through the draft like they do in the NFL. It's very hard to continue to reload a team in the NBA without trading away your future assets. And when you do that, it gets to a point, similar to the NFL, you got to pay the piper. You're going to be tapped out of assets. Your star players are either going to be too old or not able to win a championship for you. You got to start over and go through years and years of losing. The Dallas Mavericks may be playing the smart move. We shall see. But just know that this is a move that will ultimately either lead to a championship or the firing of GM Nico Harrison. That is for sure the outcome of the situation. He's either going to like a genius or a dumbass. No ifs, ands, buts about it. One or two. Genius or dumbass. We will see what happens.